Transformers 1 is among the most regrettable box office flops in recent memory. It's a stunningly well written and well animated film. Thankfully, this is far from an uncommon sentiment, at least right now. There's plenty of people out there trying to tell you about how good it is and how you should see it despite its poor financial performance. While that's not something I'm opposed to doing myself, as I do think it's truly worth remembering, I'd rather recommend it, or celebrate it, by highlighting something the film did incredibly well. I will warn that spoilers are ahead. Character design and animation are not things I consider myself an expert on, but in this case, even a relative layman such as myself can appreciate the incredible work done with Sentinel Prime. Notably, his design is essentially wholly original to the movie, something of a rarity for legacy characters like himself. Most followed patterns set years, if not decades, prior. In the movie, Sentinel's a tall, deep blue bot with nigh golden wings, a bright silvery face, and brilliant blue eyes. He's introduced to us as a heroic character, the last of a holy dynasty. His righteous visage and almost angelic presence makes him the bot all of Cybertron looks up to in awe. But what we first see is only what he wants everyone to see. In truth, he's a power-hungry egotist who will happily burn his own people if it'll keep him warm. Soon after this dark truth is revealed, we see Sentinel take flight alongside his inner circle. Unlike his loyalists, he doesn't bother to transform, as the wings on his back and rockets in his feet are more than enough to carry him skyward. This is a detail which may seem strange to point out, but it's worth noting that Sentinel never once transforms throughout the entire film. Some might think this is the case because the animators didn't want to have to plan out another costly transformation sequence. But I think there's a little bit more to it than that. In the film, he sold his people into a secret slavery, but rather than having everyone, save himself, work in endless servitude, he decided to create a clear underclass, a lesser race. Cogless miners. You see, transformation is possible thanks to T-Cogs, a mechanical organ all Transformers are born with. Unlike our organs, removal of one is a simple procedure when consensual, or if done, when consent is irrelevant. So, after he butchered his race's godlike leaders, but before the subsequent generations could come online, he removed the T-Cogs from the chassis of many of their number, to create a literally smaller and less capable subgroup that he could exploit and belittle almost effortlessly. He literally refused them the right to their race's namesake. He never felt the need to transform, at least in the movie, and felt that the miners didn't need to either. Not only was this an atrocity, but this was a seeming separation of himself from his people. He doesn't need to transform. Why would he? He's the supreme authority of those who can, and he courts with their secret masters, who themselves don't transform. So why not conduct himself like the masters? Also, for the fans wanting to call out that Sentinel would still likely need his T-Cog to transform even just his feet, I'm aware, but he's barely using it and refusing others who desperately need theirs the access he takes for granted. Eventually, Sentinel takes many of our heroes hostage and enjoys tormenting D16, for he dared to stand instead of kneeling like the rest in bondage. He boasts of how he stole the T-Cog of D's hero, one of the holy dead, and replaced his own cog with it to further empower himself, stealing his favorite part of the heroes he'd slaughtered. Evidently, he believed they were mighty, but an obstacle to his glory. So, they had to go. And now he uses them again in his efforts to physically and mentally break his enraged captive, and therefore removing another obstacle. But Sentinel underestimated D's conviction. D16 immediately rises up again, despite the new red-hot scars on his chest. And this is where the brilliance of Sentinel's design finally begins to show itself. He holds out his hand and it disappears behind a cannon, which he readies to fire, intending to execute a prisoner he just finished assaulting. But he is interrupted and sent reeling back. Sentinel soon recovers, boasting of how little the efforts of our protagonists matter, as Cybertron is his to rule. Out of the ashes of his chambers, he rises high, wings splayed out, weapons emerging from every limb, rockets from his feet, and a mask covering his wicked face. He ascends, literally looking down on his rebellious subject, as he reveals the truth hidden figuratively and literally just beneath the surface. He's a powerful and violent monster who sees himself as better than the saints he butchered. Sentinel furiously engages D16 in battle, wholly confident in his total superiority. So, when he finally regains the upper hand on D, he relishes it, mockingly telling the miner to rise up, while making that impossible. Yet the full genius of his design only truly becomes evident once his reign literally and figuratively comes crashing down. The truth of his character is exposed to the masses, and D takes advantage of the distraction to tackle Sentinel off his high tower, sending the pair careening into pillars and in the ground far below as the descending ruler fails to regain control. And what would end up being his final moments, Sentinel's wings have broken off from the violent fall. His feet are locked into flight mode, practically useless without his wings, and making standing up a literal impossibility. Now defenseless, left crippled by that which once elevated him above all, he is left begging and bargaining for his life in front of D16, as he is wholly unable to rise up like D had been only moments before. His quickly arriving defenders prove failures, and Sentinel is hoisted skyward for all to see, as his vengeful subjects look on in glee, and he is torn in half, dying in bitter agony. His body then suffers an ironic indignity, as a T-cog he'd pilfered is torn from his corpse, and D16 installs it in place of his own, stealing his favorite piece of the dictator for himself, ready to become a greater tyrant than the pretender ever dreamed of being. Megatron is born.